Good afternoon, everyone. Today, me, Prabhat Shrestha, and my friend Samundra Poudel are going to conduct a discussion on a session that focuses on enhancing our teaching practices through a deep dive into assessment strategies and the teaching learning cycle. We'll explore how the early years learning framework, version 2.0, along with the graduate teaching standards, shape and guide our works in early education. This presentation aims to provide practical insights and effective prompts to support your daily day-to-day planning, teaching, and evaluating. Let's start by outlining today's key learning activities. We'll look at three core approaches to assessment. First, diagnosis, formative, and summative, as well as reflect on their unique contribution to teaching effective teaching. We'll then move into the teaching learning cycle as it applies to early childhood education. Importantly, we'll examine how EYLF version 2.0 and the Australian Professional Standard for Teachers graduate level influence and structure our practices. Finally, we'll consider how student assessment data and feedback from parents and carers help shape and improve our programming. Diagnostic assessment is the starting point. It's conducted before formal teaching begins and aims to uncover what children already know, can do, and how they prefer to learn. Examples include like pre-test, checklist, informal observation, or interviews with children and families. The value of diagnostic assessment lies in its ability to inform planning by identifying each child's strengths and needs, allowing us to pitch our teaching at the right level from the outset. Formative assessment occurs in continuously through the teaching process. It's an informal yet powerful way of monitoring children's learning and progress. Examples might include anecdotal records, reflective journals, learning stories, or open-ended questioning. This type of assessment supports adaptive language teaching. It enables us to make real-time adjustments to our methods, scaffold children's thinking, and provide immediate feedback to support their learning journey. Summative assessment happens at the end of the learning cycle or term. It evaluates whether learning outcomes have been met in early childhood. Summative assessment can take the form learning summaries or development checklist. This type of assessment offers insight into longer-term process and support transitions, whether to a new group, year level, or a school setting. Let's briefly compare these three types. Diagnostic assessment come before teaching and help us plan. Formative assessment occurs during teaching and allows us to guide learning dynamically. Summative assessment wraps up a unit or term and provide evaluative feedback. Using all three approaches ensures a comprehensive, responsive, and cyclical view of a child's learning, allowing from differentiated and inclusive practice. The teaching learning cycle is a continuous, responsive process that begins with observing students' needs and interests. Based on their observation, we need targeted learning experiences that implement with flexibility. After teaching, we assess understanding through various methods and reflect on outcomes to improve future instructions. For example, noticing children struggling with fractions might lead us to plan hands-on activities, assess their progress, and refine our approach. This cyclical approach ensures our teaching mainly dynamic and student-centered, adapting to learners' evolving needs. Thank you. I'll be handing over to my friend Samundra here.
Thank you, Prabhat. Hi, my name is Samundra Poudel, and I'm going to take over the presentation from here. So, my topic is early year planning cycle. The early years technique learning cycle consists of five interconnected stages: observe, assess, plan, implement, and evaluate. We start by observing children in their natural play and interactions. These observations are then assessed. What do they reveal about the child's development and interest? From there, we plan experiences and environments that will support learning. Implementation involves intentional teaching as well as spontaneous learning opportunities. Finally, we evaluate the effectiveness of our strategies using insights to inform the next cycle. This cycle ensures teacher is responsive and rooted in evidence. The next slide is Early Year Learning Framework (B2O) Principles and Practices. Early Year Learning Framework also includes 8 practices and 5 guiding principles. The principles emphasize the importance of relationships, family partnerships, equity, diversity, and reflective practice. The practices include approaches such as learning through play, intentional teaching, creating supportive environments, cultural competence, and ongoing assessment. When applied consistently, these principles and practices ensure that children's learning is supported in a respectful, equitable, and meaningful way. The next one is Graduate Teacher Standard Descriptors. The Graduate Teacher Standards from AITSL serve as a professional compass. They compass 7 key areas: 1. Know student and how they learn. 2. Know the content and how to teach it. 3. Plan for and implement effective teaching and learning. 4. Create and maintain safe and supportive learning environments. 5. Assess, provide feedback, and report on student learning. 6. Engage in professional learning. 7. Engage professionally with colleagues, parents, and the community. These standards ensure that teachers are consistently developing their capacity and practice in alignment with national expectations for high quality teaching. And the next slide is interpreting student assessment data. Data isn't just about number, it is about stories. By interpreting student work samples, assessments, and observations, we begin to see patterns in learning. This helps us identify which strategies are working, which concepts need revisiting, and where additional support is needed. It also helps us make decisions about groupings, planning next steps, and individualizing learning plans to cater to diverse needs. Next slide is involving parents and carers. Partnerships with parents and carers are fundamental in early childhood. They bring insights about children's interests, routines, cultural backgrounds, and learning at home. Engaging families in the assessment process builds trust and improves outcomes. Strategies include regular communication, sharing portfolios or learning stories, and involving families in setting goals for their children. This collaboration ensures consistency and create a more cohesive learning environment for each child. Next slide is reviewing assessment strategies. As reflective practitioners, we regularly evaluate our approaches to teaching and assessment. This means revisiting our planning cycles, considering whether learning outcomes are being met, and analyzing what is working and what is not. We also seek feedback from students, families, and colleagues. This helps us refine our programming, update our strategies, and remain responsive to children's evolving needs. The next is conclusion. To summarize, effective assessment drives effective teaching by integrating diagnostic, formative, and summative assessment. We create a full picture of child's learning. Using the early years planning cycle allows us to deliver through thoughtful, responsive, and meaningful learning experiences. The earlier learning framework V2O and graduate teacher standards give us a shared language and framework for quality practice. Finally, interpreting data and engaging families ensures that teaching is inclusive, reflective, and always focused on supporting children to thrive. Here are some of the references. So today's content is drawn from a range of credible sources, and these includes AITCSL Graduate Teacher Standards, the Earliest Learning Framework version 2.0 by ESEXA, NSW Department of Education's Assessment Resources, and other practitioner-focused platforms like Aussie Childcare Network. So in this way, we have come to end our presentation. Thank you.